Hi, church children. It's great to be with you in spirit. So let's light the chalice to begin. You ready? We light this chalice because we are Unitarian Universalists. We are the church of the open mind, the loving heart, and the helping hands. Together, we care for our earth and help to bring peace and justice into the world. So today for Children's Chapel Online, I wanted to share with you one of my favorite all-time books. Now, it's a book that was written for children, but it's a book that someone gave me when I was an adult. In fact, I heard it when I was first in my late 20s, I think. And in fact, I was in school. I was in school to learn how to become a Unitarian Universalist minister. And I heard this book, someone shared this book in our class that was about how to do religious education. And so that's how I first heard of it. Now, I love books. I read lots of books. I like picture books. I love children's books. And I love the books of Mr. Leo Leone. And he's the person who wrote Frederick. And he also did the illustrations. And illustrations, of course, is the word for the pictures that go along with the story. And you'll notice when you see the video that he makes the illustrations by cutting out pieces of construction paper. And you might want to make some pictures and illustrations by doing the same thing if that's something that you might like to do. You know, in the coming months, we're going to be hibernating, kind of, like the mice. And especially because of the coronavirus, we're going to be in our homes much more than usual. And that can be very, very challenging. And I know that some of you are already having a hard time. You might love it at home and it might feel very cozy, but there are going to be some times when we all wish we had a lot more options to do things. And so that's why it's going to be really important for all of us to be Fredericks this fall as we get ready for our winter together, and to be watching and looking around wherever we are for things that we can hold in our hearts and in our memories, and especially things that we can create in our imaginations that will make the winter time brighter and happier and more inspiring. I'm doing that very same thing so that I have things to share with the church that I hope will be like bright sunshine and very joyful as we go through this season together. Frederick is about a family of mice. And the reason I love it is because it's about a character who first seems to be someone who is maybe doing something wrong or not being like everyone else. And you'll see in the story how the other mice keep looking at Frederick and saying, "What are you doing, Frederick?" And they're doing work. They're doing a lot of really important work, bringing in supplies for the long winter ahead. And what Frederick is doing is spiritual work and artistic work. And what he is doing is using his memory and his imagination to remember the beautiful warmth of the sun and the beautiful colors in nature, and also to think about inspiring words that he can share later in the winter when his family is feeling very cooped up and they really are bored and they have run out of things to say and maybe they don't have any more interesting games to play. And you'll see what happens then is that Frederick's work, which at first seems to be questionable, turns out to be really, really valuable. So I think that's an important lesson for all of us. And in fact, I'm going to be sharing this story with the grown-ups in the congregation too. Frederick by Leo Leone. All along the meadow where the cows grazed and the horses ran, there was an old stone wall. In that wall, not far from the barn and the granary, which is a place where you keep grain, a chatty family of field mice had their home. But the farmers had moved away, the barn was abandoned, and the granary stood empty. And since winter was not far off, the little mice began to gather corn and nuts and wheat and straw. They all worked day and night, all except Frederick. "Frederick, why don't you work?" they asked. "I do work," said Frederick. "I gather sun rays for the cold, dark winter days." And when they saw Frederick sitting there staring at the meadow, they said, "And now, Frederick?" "I gather colors," answered Frederick simply, "for winter is gray." And once Frederick seemed half asleep. "Are you dreaming, Frederick?" they asked reproachfully. But Frederick said, "Oh no, I am gathering words, for the winter days are long and many, and we'll run out of things to say." The winter days came, and when the first snow fell, the 5 little field mice took to their hideout in the stones. In the beginning, there was lots to eat, and the mice told stories of foolish foxes and silly cats. They were a happy family. But little by little, they had nibbled up most of the nuts and berries. The straw was gone, and the corn was only a memory. It was cold in the wall, and no one felt like chatting. And then they remembered what Frederick had said about sun rays and colors and words. "What about your supplies, Frederick?" they asked. "Close your eyes," said Frederick, as he climbed on a big stone. "Now I send you the rays of the sun. Do you feel how their golden glow?" And as Frederick spoke of the sun, the 4 little mice began to feel warmer. Was it Frederick's voice? Was it magic? "And how about the colors, Frederick?" they asked anxiously. "Close your eyes again," Frederick said. And when he told them of the blue periwinkles, the red poppies in the yellow wheat, and the green leaves of the berry bush, they saw the colors as clearly as if they had been painted in their minds. "And the words, Frederick?" Frederick cleared his throat, waited a moment, and then, as if from a stage, he said, "Who scatters snowflakes? Who melts the ice? Who spoils the weather? Who makes it nice? Who grows the 4-leaf clovers in June? Who dims the daylight? Who lights the moon? 4 little field mice who live in the sky. 4 little field mice like you and I. One is the spring mouse who turns on the showers. Then comes the summer who paints in the flowers. The fall mouse is next with walnuts and wheat, and winter is last with little cold feet. Aren't we lucky the seasons are 4? Think of a year with 1 less or 1 more." When Frederick had finished, they all applauded. "Yay, Frederick! Well done!" "But Frederick," they said, "you are a poet." Frederick blushed, took a bow, and said shyly, "I know it.